Well, hello. It's been a long wait, but worth it. It's been a lot of good stories and a lot of good performances. I feel really honoured to be here actually. I've only known Ruth for less than a year, and to be asked to share my story at such an event like this, it feels really incredible to be able to do that, so thank you. So I'll start, if you can't understand me, sorry. So I was born in Paisley, which is in Scotland, if you don't know, in 1988, so 30 years ago. So I'm here to share my story on recovery, which is an ongoing recovery. So I'll start from being a young boy. So family life was very normal for me when I was younger. Mum, dad and older sister, which was great, and probably until I reached about 12 when my dad sat us all down as a family to tell us that he'd had an affair, which broke me, but I didn't realise how much so until about probably 4 years ago. So from that my mum forgave him, so I also thought I had, and carried on treating him like a good friend and dad, like you do. And it's sort of 14, 15, started drinking, started hanging around with probably the wrong crowd, smoking weed. And then at the age of 18, it got a bit harder than that, so I had started to take cocaine, which that lasted for 11 and a half years. So it was more so a weekend thing, was what I thought, for 11 and a half years. And I then realised that it was more than that, because it became a daily thing. It then became, if you know how much you can get, it was a quarter on a Friday night, then a quarter on a Saturday, and then another quarter on a Saturday night. So a lot of money and also a lot of drugs. So to still be standing here, I don't know how I'm doing it, but God knows, and He's put me here, which I'm very grateful for. So my now wife, who's unfortunately not here because she's at Legoland with the kids, probably a better deal than what I got, but my mother-in-law is here. So the support I've had from my mother-in-law, father-in-law and wife has been incredible. So I moved to Bexley in South East London 7 years ago to try and get away from my problems, and it changed for a while. So I'd stopped taking drugs for a while, and I'd started attending the local church that my mother-in-law and father-in-law were at, which is New Generation Church in Sidcup. And I joined the football team there, which was a big thing for me because I love football, and that was something that was sort of helping me keep going and helping me stay away from the drugs and drinking and things like that. And then I realised that everything wasn't as good as it felt. At the time, Carrie-Anne was just my girlfriend. She moved down in the summer and fell pregnant almost straight away, so she decided she'd stay, which was good. So we have a 6-year-old little girl, and I tried to stop for her, and it wasn't enough, and I don't know why, it just didn't seem to be enough. So having a baby and a woman who's put up with drug abuse, texting other women, alcohol, you name it, I've done it. For her to be able to put up with that and still stand by me and support me was like an incredible thing for me, even though I wasn't doing anything to help it. I was still carrying on with the drugs, the drink, the texting other women, and just choosing the life that I wanted. I wanted to be a dad, I wanted to be a good partner, but I also wanted to be single. So I acted like both of them, and tried to pull the wool over everyone's eyes. And then I got to probably about 4 years ago. So we got, before that, I'll go back longer than that. So we were due to get married September 2013, and a few months before that, my wife had a death in the family, and when we were up in Scotland for the funeral, I wasn't going to drink, but with addiction problems, not going to drink and not drinking are two different things. So I started off with, I'm just going to have a beer, and then a beer turned into another beer, and then another beer turned into 24 beers, and then I just completely got lost in my grief for the family member who was lost, which didn't help anyone, much less myself. So fast forward a couple of hours after the funeral and after the wake and after drinking a lot, I had went for a walk and bumped into an ex-girlfriend and swapped numbers and started messaging that night. And this was about 2 months before I was due to get married to my now wife. And my wife had went out for a while before this, and while I was messaging this girl, and I was asleep by the time she came home, and she found my phone on the floor and she found the messages, suggestive ones very much so, and she went mad, as you can imagine. We were splitting up at that point. I stayed in Scotland for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. She went back down here with the kid, with a little girl, and I started to write down some things that I was thankful for, and started to sort of write down ideas and ways that I could help myself and get back onto the sort of good path. So I moved back down, Carrie Ann took me back. We went for a pre-marriage course, which in our church was a thing that we'd done before we got married, and came to the end of that pre-marriage course, which was 8 days before our wedding, and on that night I became a Christian and felt really good. It changed a lot of things in me, but it also changed my thought of, I can do things and get away with it now because I'm free and I've been forgiven. So I've been forgiven from my past sins, my present sins and my future sins, so it's okay. It doesn't work that way. So I carried on going and we got married. It was lovely, it was great. Then things were going well for a period, and then I took on a job, the company I was working for, and this was just after we had a son, and I'd stopped again just before we had him, and then I started working for a company which they put a lot of pressure on you to do work and constantly keep going and going and going, and they don't really pay you the amount of money that they should do for the work that you do. So I used that as an excuse to get back on the drugs and drink again and try and pull the wool over everyone's eyes. But my wife always knew there was something wrong, because I'd disappear and go out and sleep in the van and stay out, and I would never sleep. I'd be taking drugs in the company van, and then it got, the worst that it felt that it got was probably around about March last year, just before my daughter's birthday. I broke into a church to steal money to fund my habit, and that was hard because I had to hand myself into the police a few days later, with the person who had complained about me breaking in standing next to me, and my father-in-law, who's a retired police officer. It's not an easy combination to have, standing next to you in a police station. So I gave up. I was lying in a police cell for 10 or 12 hours, singing "Our God is greater" constantly to myself, and that was the only cell in that block that had CCTV was the one I was in, because I'd never been in a police cell before, and they were worried about me. So they would have been watching me thinking, what is wrong with this guy? And to be honest, that's what I felt like. I felt like, what is wrong with me? Why can I not stop doing this? So in that moment, sitting in a police cell, looking into my own self, thinking, what do I need to do to make this different? So I then came out of that police cell and I fully submitted everything to God. I took 8 weeks off work on sick, and then subsequently I just handed my notice in, and God had spoke to me saying, I want you to work for me. And I thought, how does that look? How do I do that? Because you're not a person. How can I work for you? So he said, you start up your own business and do it that way. Don't advertise yourself at all. I'll bring the work in. And I thought, okay, this is mad, but I'll give it a go. So 15 months, I was 15 months clean up until a month ago, where I had a relapse and tried to pull the wool over my wife's eyes and my family's eyes. It really doesn't work. And that's why I said my recovery story is still ongoing. And I'm very, very privileged to stand here and share. But I feel like this is just really something special, because I'm still on that path of not knowing the best way to go. I do know what the best way to go is. It's Jesus. So before I had my relapse, I'd just finished day school for the first year and I was on a high. But going back to January this year, I lost my gran, who was a really big part of my life. Sorry. She was old, and that doesn't really make it any better, but she was 87 and was the only Christian in the family. So I really looked up to her. And this isn't blaming my gran dying as a reason to relapse, but I hadn't really dealt with the grief and allowed that to work its way into me and sort of take over my mind again. So I had that in January, and then my uncle passed away suddenly in May, and I didn't deal with that grief either. So when you don't deal with something in your past and don't actually speak about it and build it up, you're going to struggle with whatever it is you struggle with. It doesn't matter whether it's eating, drinking, drugs, smoking, sexual addictions, anything. If you don't speak about them, you will struggle. And you can speak to anyone. And over the last 2 weeks, no, since Father's Day, whenever that was, probably a week ago, 2 weeks ago, it's the first time that I've started to actually write notes down and write down things like my triggers, the things that I feel really have an effect on me going back a way, which are a lot of them are feelings, so feelings have not been good enough, which is a lie. feelings of fear, the thoughts that you have, stress in your life, humanly perceptions, which sometimes can be quite hard when most of your family are all non-Christians. They don't understand the spiritual side that we have. The not trusting God's word for myself, feeling hopeless, anger, disappointment and negative thoughts and feelings. I spent some time speaking to a couple of friends over the last couple of weeks, trying to sort of get ways in which I can deal with the issues. And I've read about 3 pages of this book. I'm not much of a reader. I've had it for just over a week, but 3 pages is quite good in about a week. And it's a book called I Want to Change My Life, How to Overcome Anxiety, Depression and Addiction. It's a 1-month programme, and there was a line in it that underlined it. If you follow the simple steps in this book, I am confident that within a month you will begin to improve your life. I'm living on that at the moment. That is something that I am focusing in on. I never once thought that I'd sit here and tell you that I'm reading a book. But I've had to read quite a few for the day school, and I never quite managed to read them all. And also, somebody mentioned earlier, I think it was Katie, when she was doing the poem, about renewing your mind. And I've been looking into a lot of stuff over the last week or so, and one of the things that I've been looking at is the constant renewing of the minds. So two Bible verses on that is, one is Romans 12:2, which is about renewing your mind, and the other one's 2 Corinthians 10:4-6. So if you want to, read them. It'll help you. So I'm now just over 2 weeks clean again, which I'm happy about. And I feel very, very blessed that I have a support network around me, friends from day school, family, and a happy head. So thank you very much.